Well, today, for every one of the 57 minutes that Donald Trump spoke to the General Assembly of the United Nations, desperately pretending to be the smartest person in the room, by insulting the entire world and insulting the intelligence of most Americans, Donald Trump was condemning himself to history with his own statements that historians will be using against him for the rest of time.
I'm telling you that if you don't get away from the green energy scam, your country is going to fail.
Future historians will have an easy time convicting Donald Trump of out-of-control ignorance and incompetence simply by quoting Donald Trump saying things like that. And today, every representative of every country listening to Donald Trump knew that Donald Trump is covering up and preventing the release of the Epstein files that he promised to release and his attorney general promised to release, and they have now refused to release, possibly because Donald Trump's name appears in the Epstein files too many times. And today at the United Nations, thanks to reporting by MSNBC this weekend, every representative of every country listening to Donald Trump knew that while Donald Trump was shaming himself at that microphone, he was also covering up the Homan files. Donald Trump is now the only president in history who decided to appoint someone to a job in his administration after that person had been recorded on video by the FBI accepting $50,000 in cash. The New York Times has now backed up MSNBC's reporting, with the Times confirming all of the same facts, first revealed by MSNBC's Carol Leonnig and Ken Dilanian in an investigative report that has now shocked the entire Trump administration into abject silence. It has been more than 24 hours now since anyone in the Trump administration has dared to say a single word about the $50,000 that Donald Trump's so-called border czar, a job invented by Donald Trump that does not require Senate confirmation, Tom Homan accepted on videotape from FBI agents last September who were posing as businessmen eager to get government contracts related to border security. At the time, Tom Homan was running a consulting business, advising companies on how to get government contracts related to border security. So everyone at the United Nations today knew that they were listening to the only American president in history who has someone on the government payroll who he now knows, thanks to MSNBC, if he didn't know before, was caught on video by the FBI accepting $50,000 in cash before Donald Trump gave him his job in the federal government. And everyone at the United Nations listening to Donald Trump try to insult them knew that they were listening to a man who cannot even pronounce the name of the medicine that he has decided to give medical advice about.
Effective immediately, the FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of well, let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen. Is that okay? Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol.
Is that okay? No, it's not okay when a clownish man who cannot even pronounce the name of the medicine he tries to give you advice about tells you not to take that medicine. Unfortunately, too many Americans will suffer by making the mistake of following Donald Trump's medical advice and the advice of Donald Trump's Secretary of Health and Human Services, the most dangerous American Nepo baby in American history, Robert Kennedy Jr., who insists that his own admitted 14-year addiction to heroin is over, while his even more dangerous addiction to public attention remains incurable. Democrats in the House and Senate are now calling for the release of the Homan files, in addition to the Epstein files. Democrats on the House Judiciary Committee, led by Congressman Jamie Raskin, have demanded in writing that the Attorney General and FBI Director hand over the Homan files. The Democrats wrote, "Do the Department of Justice and Federal Bureau of Investigation have video and audio recordings of White House border czar Tom Homan accepting $50,000 in cash bribes from undercover FBI agents stuffed in a brown paper takeout bag from the restaurant chain Cava?" It certainly sounds like you do. Your reported effort to shut down this investigation appears to be a brazen cover-up to protect Donald Trump's allies at a time when the Department of Justice and FBI are also being ordered to aggressively pursue prosecution of Donald Trump's political enemies. We demand that both of you immediately turn over all recordings from Mr. Homan's meeting, as well as all files from this investigation of purported bribery involving Mr. Homan. This is an untenable situation. And today, Democrats on the Senate Judiciary Committee also demanded the same material. The Senate Democrats said, "We are initiating a robust oversight inquiry to review Mr. Homan's actions prior to and since joining this administration, as well as the FBI's role in ultimately shutting down the investigation into Mr. Homan. Closing this investigation is an unprecedented departure from FBI's longstanding role in combating public corruption. These allegations raise additional concerns that this administration's immigration, enforcement, and deportation policies and actions, including its award of federal funds for detention centers or security-related technology, have been and may continue to be influenced by Mr. Homan's corrupt financial interests." Yesterday, the White House press secretary apparently inadvertently admitted that Tom Homan was in a meeting with undercover FBI agents. She made that admission yesterday when she got carried away in saying something that no one else has said. She claimed Mr. Homan never took the $50,000.
Did the president ask the Justice Department to close the case, and does Homan have to return the $50,000?
Well, Mr. Homan never took the $50,000 that you're referring to, so you should get your facts straight, number one. Number two, this was another example of the weaponization of the Biden Department of Justice against one of President Trump's strongest and most vocal supporters in the midst of a presidential campaign. You had FBI agents going undercover to try and entrap one of the president's top allies and supporters, someone who they knew very well would be taking a government position months later. Mr. Homan did absolutely nothing wrong.
So first of all, who told her that Mr. Homan's never took the $50,000? Who told her that? Was it Mr. Homan's? He has not dared to say that himself, and no one else has dared to say that. But what you saw there in her frenzied attempt to claim that Tom Homan never took the $50,000, she actually just said, quote, "You had FBI agents going undercover to try and entrap one of the president's top allies and supporters," end quote. So there you have the president's press secretary admitting that Tom Homan was in a meeting with undercover FBI agents. That's the White House confirming at least that fact. That's the White House officially confirming that Tom Homan was in a meeting with undercover FBI agents. And last night, in a comical attempt to put out this fire, Tom Homan appeared on the Fox propaganda channel where the interviewer forgot to ask him, "Were you in a meeting with undercover FBI agents?" And she forgot to ask him, "Did you take $50,000 in cash?"
Tom, I want to give you a chance to address this article that came out over the weekend, and it was on our always reliable MSNBC, and they said that you took $50,000 in cash in a bag from an undercover FBI agent to help them win government contracts in Trump's second term. The DOJ said they concluded there was no criminal wrongdoing, but nevertheless, that story is out there, and I imagine you want to respond to that.
Oh, absolutely. Look, I did nothing criminal. I did nothing illegal. And there's hit piece after hit piece after hit piece. And I'm glad the FBI and DOJ came out and said, said that nothing illegal happened and nothing, no criminal activity. You're talking about a guy who spent 34 years enforcing the law. I mean, I left a very successful business that I ran to come back and work for a government again. I'm back on a government paycheck. Not only did I sacrifice my family sacrifices, I make sacrifices every day. I got more death threats than anybody. I got a security team around me, but guess what? My kids don't. My wife don't. I mean, I haven't lived with my wife in months because I don't want her to be here right now with all the threats. So after all the sacrifices, after serving my nation for all these years, they want to come out and dirty me up. And it's not going to end. There's a hit piece on me every 2 weeks. But keep coming, because you know what? Tom Homan isn't going anywhere. Tom Homan isn't shutting up. And Tom Homan's going to keep doing what he's doing, because working with President Trump's the greatest honor of my life. We're making this country safer again every day, and we're going to keep doing it.
So Tom Homan says he isn't shutting up, but the other thing he isn't doing is disputing a single fact reported by MSNBC in that investigative report. Tom Homan has not disputed a single thing reported by MSNBC in that investigative report. What you just heard is the entirety of what Tom Homan has said about MSNBC's reporting. And I wanted you to hear the entirety of it, including all the irrelevant junk that he threw in there that has nothing to do with the evidence that's reported in that investigative report. So you could hear what he did not say. And as I pointed out last night, Tom Homan there did not deny taking the $50,000 in cash. And that is a distinction that has been picked up in the New York Times coverage of the story and most other news reports covering this story today, that Tom Homan has not denied taking the $50,000 in cash. And that leaves only the White House press secretary saying that, yes, Tom Homan was in a meeting with undercover FBI agents. You heard her admit that. But she says he did not take the cash. Tom Homan himself is not daring to say whether he was in that meeting or whether he took the cash, because Tom Homan knows if there is video in the FBI files of him doing that. Remember, Tom Homan knows. So he's very careful about what he says and doesn't say. And Donald Trump saying absolutely nothing about it, nothing, absolute silence, nothing about it. But he's doing everything he can to create as many fireworks displays as he can around different news centers to divert attention away from what are now the two stories Donald Trump is trying to run away from this year, the Epstein files and now the new Homan files. We already have an idea of what that kind of FBI sting video looks like. It has been 46 years since FBI undercover agents caught federal officials on videotape accepting $50,000 in cash, which is apparently the FBI's favorite number for undercover payoffs to politicians. That FBI operation in 1979 was codenamed Abscam. It involved undercover FBI agents posing as Arab businessmen trying to bribe members of Congress and local officials in New Jersey. Writer-director David O. Russell's film American Hustle, starring Bradley Cooper with an assist from Robert De Niro and Christian Bale, tells the fictionalized story of Abscam. Everyone watching TV news in America in 1980 saw exactly what it was like when FBI undercover agents hand over $50,000 in cash. Sometimes they need a bigger envelope.
Let me just say this to you. You're going about it the right way. Okay. I'm going to tell you something real simple and short. Money talks in this business and bullshit talks. It works the same way down in Washington.
Later in the tape, the FBI agent handed Myers an envelope which contained $50,000.
And as long as I got your guarantee that... You got my guarantee and no problems at all. You got my guarantee. And
I got your guarantee. I don't need your guarantee.
Let's go, buddy.
Yeah. I know. Let me, wait, I got a big envelope. I'll put it in another envelope. I think might be wise while they're doing, usually I get things back to me on some court stuff that we could, four of us can meet back in Philly. Spend it well.
One United States senator and 6 members of the House of Representatives were convicted of bribery and conspiracy. No criminal defendants have been able to convince juries they are not guilty after the juries have seen FBI videotape of the defendants taking cash from undercover FBI agents. Donald Trump knows, and Tom Homan knows, that Tom Homan cannot possibly survive this story if the FBI videotape of his meeting with undercover FBI agents becomes public.